video for the ECSC European Cybersecurity Challenge. I'm going to try not to take too much time so as to let my colleagues talk as well. I just want to explain what the program is about, how it works, and how it has evolved ever since ENISA took over the project already 4 years ago, and what the future looks like for this project, what we've planned, and its development. So, as you know, nowadays we do need cybersecurity experts. There is a great need of cyber experts, not only in technical areas, but also in legal compliance and many other fields. This is a very transversal area in every company, so not only are we looking for technical knowledge, but also for knowledge of other fields, and also have different skills, such as public speaking, being able to communicate, to manage and to present a project, so things which are not necessarily technical. So other than promoting technical knowledge, we are also trying to promote other types of skills, as I was saying, public speaking, teamwork, and so on. Now, just to give you some context, the ECSC came under the umbrella of cybersecurity strategy in 2013, and we got a mandate from the Commission to organize a competition at a European level for all countries. At the time, there were already 7 countries which were partaking in national level competitions, and ENISA's idea was to give support to those countries so that the competition could grow. The aims of this challenge are to promote CTF national competitions in the same way that we're doing it here in Spain. So every country organizes their own national competitions, and from that they select the people who will compete at a European level. And what we're trying to do with this is to get more and more nations from the European Union to have training programs, boot camps, and participate in this challenge. And at the end of the day, the aim is to manage to train cyber experts in cybersecurity experts in every country. We think it's a very interesting project to promote cybersecurity. It's very exciting. It involves young people. It also entails some competition. And at the end of the day, it puts the spotlight on cybersecurity, and it can help future talents to actually work in cybersecurity. So we want to identify and promote talent. We want to develop contact networks. So the cybersecurity world is quite small compared to other areas and fields, and everyone knows each other. And so whoever takes part in the ECSC might actually even come together in the end and get a startup together, or be the future leaders of cybersecurity. And our target audience is obviously students, both high school and university students, industries, so that they can find future workers for them, and the general public, so that through security they can see that these activities are taking place. How has ENISA contributed to this project? Basically, it has 3 parts. I'm just saying that ENISA does not organize the ECSC. It's like the Olympic Committee for the Olympics. So we try to give support to the country it's being organized in. This year it was in Romania. Last year was England. Next year is going to take place in Austria. And so what ENISA tries to do is to promote and to find some continuity in the project, starting with the strategic support that we can actually provide, because we can have a role to bring transparency and equity, which other organizations might not have. We also support development and governance framework, and finally we give technical support. I think strategic support that ENISA gives to the project has been very relevant indeed. We'll see a graph later on how the project has grown since ENISA joined. But basically, ENISA's contact networks in every country through different bodies, management boards, as many other groups. So through them, we try to get countries to join the initiative, and we try to help them with any issue that may arise and say, why are you not taking part? Can we help you so that you can actually eventually take part? Or would you like to take part as an observer so that you can enter the cycle and start seeing how we work? So this approach has been quite successful. It's received a warm welcome, and next year we have at least 3 new countries which have already taken place as observers and are just about to start taking part actively. Now, another one of the legs with which ENISA is trying to support is governance framework through our steering committee. And what we're trying to do, we create a government structure, which is the steering committee, and this committee is the one that's going to decide how the project evolves. And from ENISA, what we try is to give it continuity, to have a baseline for the project, the decision-making is always transparent, that it is fair. There are 2 meetings every year. We try to support the steering committee, or the steering committee is trying to support the national organization. We foster collaboration between different nations because cybersecurity, for example, in Spain is very advanced, but there are other countries which don't even have a training structure or challenge structure for cybersecurity. So that knowledge that we have in Spain and in other countries such as Germany or England, they have very strong structures and very strong foundations. They can help the countries which are not so advanced in this sense. And that is one of the things that the steering committee is trying to promote. And finally, when it comes to technical support, what we try to do is to help the organizing country through providing them challenges. We have a scoreboard which was used for the first time last year, and it has been improved dramatically this year with all the ideas that we gathered through surveys, through feedback, but also with the ideas from the steering committee. We also try to promote information exchange tools, and we are going to have a new one that will be launched soon, guidelines and guides for experts and for people who need it. We promote the winning team so that they go to Brussels and present in front of the Commission or something similar. And we also try to have coordinated policies. Our public affairs team are always there during the event. They try to program and schedule meetings, to share pictures, to share videos, to have everyone aligned and send the same message during the challenge. And now I'm going to show you another video. This is a surprise for Diego. Ernesto, can we have the second video, please? It's very short. This is what the challenge looks like. The team knows already because they've been there. This is something that was recorded with a drone. And for all those young people who might be in the room, I hope this draws your attention and that you will be with us in 1 or 2 years. Right, so the event in Bucharest took place in the second biggest building in the world, the Parliament building. Belgium didn't take part in the end, so we had 3 new countries and 2 observers, Malta and Finland. We had over 200 participants and sponsors and team leaders. Finally, the winner was Romania, then Italy runners-up, and finally Austria, who are going to be the organizers. And here you can see the impact on social network. There isn't a big difference compared to the previous year, but there are less negative feedback feedback, which is already something good. And this is how the project has evolved, as I was mentioning before, since 2016, when ENISA started getting involved in the project. This has increased exponentially, and we're hoping, as I said, that 2 or 3 new teams join next year. And also we need to find financing for the participating teams so that they keep on coming, because sometimes, depending on the sponsors, teams make it or not. So we're trying to create some sort of financing tool or base so that countries can actually have access to it and have at least some sort of basic training, some boot camps for teams to train and then take part in the challenge. So we have already agreed on the next few challenges. This is a really good presentation business card, because when you are trying to find sponsors and you tell someone that you already have 5 events scheduled, no one can say that this is going to be a one-off. So from ENISA, we're trying to have an international competition, which means outside of Europe, obviously. So intercontinental competition. We have already started making contact with people from OEA, thanks to Spain. We've got contacts with Japan, with Australia, and we're going to try and have an intercontinental competition for following years through ENISA. Actually, we hope this will take place in Greece, which is where ENISA headquarters are. And finally, next year, the challenge will take place in Vienna between 3rd and 7th of November, and we hope to see some of you there. And what does the future hold? The future of ENISA with the challenge is to keep supporting new countries to take part in the challenge, try to help logistically the organizing country and everything they need, be it scoreboards, be it challenges, be it having speakers, align with other activities from the Commission, such as Women for Cyber, which is a program that is going to be launched very soon from ENISA, so as to get women involved in cybersecurity in general. And we hope that the challenge will be an interesting program to foster women joining cybersecurity. We have cybersecurity MOV as well, and cybersecurity strategy, national cybersecurity strategy as well. And as I was saying before, creating a European team, Team Europe, that can partake in competitions, in intercontinental competitions, as we were saying. Well, this is all. Thank you very much. I hope this gives you a clearer idea now of what's going on, other than what's been done here in Spain. And I think this is very motivating, both from a European and national point of view, even further than that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrian. If you'd like to ask him questions, we'll do that at the end, so we can hear everybody first. So Diego Manrique is going to talk now. He's in the same area as me, in INCIBE. He has experience in organizing international competitions and cybersecurity challenges, and he's involved in initiatives to promote young talent and to help people have a career in cybersecurity. He is our representative in the Executive Committee in the ECSC since 2018. Thank you, Tatiana, for the presentation and the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here once again, to be here talking about the ECSC. We're in the final phase of the Cyber Olympics. We've just had that. And I'm going to talk about a move over to the positive side. Yeah, we've got the presentation up now. I'd like to talk about 4 things. The role of INCIBE in the competition. It's a decisive role in different areas. That the journey that we've had over the last 5 years for ECSC and the recent competition in October. And probably the most interesting part is how to participate in this and be part of the selected team. I've been working hard on this, and since Monday, people have been asking me when the selection will begin and what the requirements are, and I don't want to have any doubts about that. I hope it's interesting for you, and Alejandro and Adrian are the present part of the selection, but you are the future, because the fact that you're in CyberCamp, that you've been in the Cyber Olympics or in the final of the competition tomorrow, means that you are in a good position to be part of that pre-selection of candidates, to be part of the national team. And the next year, they will participate in Vienna, in Austria, in the European Challenge for Cybersecurity. So I will begin by explaining INCIBE's role. Its role is to create the national team, the people in the European competition, that is. So how do they do that? They do it through national competitions, and once the team has been selected, then INCIBE has to train the team. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, and the purpose is to prepare the team, the national team, for the competition. We also accompany the national team. As Tatiana was saying, we've been in it for a few years, and last year was in London, this year in Bucharest, and it's a very positive experience, and we'll talk a bit more about this later on. We're also members of the steering committee, and I'll talk about that in a bit. And in 2017, we had a dual challenge. It was participating in the competition and organizing it, organizing the European Cybersecurity Challenge in Malaga. So what's the steering committee? It's not a very visible work, it's back office work, but it's a group that is made up of all the countries participating in the competition, but we do have a very decisive role. It's a great commitment because we are very aligned with the objectives of the competition. We have been working over the last few years on a number of initiatives, events and support programs to identify talent in cybersecurity, and we have a number of shared objectives with ENISA, and in terms of this competition. We add value, I think, to the steering committee because we have experience in organizing events on a national event and also particularly competitions. Many of the countries that are thinking about organizing the challenge do not have this experience, and they ask us for advice. For example, the Italians were thinking about whether or not to participate in the event and be organizers, and they were asking us about logistical matters and matters of budget, and that's very valuable advice that we can give them. It's also a very important back room in INCIBE. There's a team working there. We have a technical office for European projects, an office for proposals, for finance, and in this sense, we are leaders for other companies. There's a European directive for cybersecurity, and we participate on the legal side of that. And so we are a solvent entity and greatly committed to the competition. We also have the role of selecting the team, as I was saying. So how do we do this? We do this through national competitions that happen in CyberCamp, Cyber Olympics, Hackathon, and the individual competitions. We also have grants through different conferences in Spain. And the winners of the CTF competitions have the right to go into the final phase of the CTF individual phase in CyberCamp. Then the other thing is the training. We've been working on this for the last few years. It goes over a 2-week period, and it deals with technique and soft skills. We prepare the team in the technique to go into the competition. There are different categories of challenges, so we try and find the strengths and weaknesses in the team with the aim of getting a balanced team that can have good results in competitions. Then we have the soft skills, which make you a better professional, should we say. It's working in team, managing stress, conflicts, a number of skills that are required by companies also in cybersecurity. And this makes quite a difference in the selection processes. So you can get an idea of what this training is like. I'm going to show you this, which is the training session that we had this year. It just wasn't just the training, it was the presentation video for that ceremony that opened the competition in Bucharest. And I'd like to go over the journey for Spain in this competition. It all began in 2015 in Switzerland when a team of young people that came from CyberCamp 2014, a long time ago. It was the first one in Madrid. And they went to Switzerland to compete. As Adrian was saying, it was a kind of a European Cup for young talents in cybersecurity. And there were more and more national competitions in different countries, and ENISA decided to arrange a competition and to bring together all the talent in Europe. We did fairly well. We're in fourth position. I think there were 6 countries at the time in 2015. In 2016, we had learnt a lot and we were able to win. We had a very decisive technique right from the start. And people like Borja joined the team, people like Ignacio, Adrian Marcos, and it truly was a very satisfying year. In 2017, we were the winners from the previous year, and we took the double win home with us. We had a double challenge there to compete and to arrange and to also organize the CyberCamp. Tatiana will say it was a very difficult and busy year. In 2018, last year, it was my first year, and we were in 11th position. You might not see that because originally we were in 3rd position, but on the second day, a number of situations came across, and that left us in 11th position, but I don't think it was a reflection of the team. Raúl Riesgo is here with us today in the front row. Actually, I've got all my bosses here in the front row, so this is like an exam for me. But he's the person who in INCIBE has most believed in this project. He had to go early last time. But this is a little bit of a summary of our participation in the European competitions. We'd have to tell you about what happened this year. Just a few months ago, we were in Bucharest competing. And as Adrian was saying, it was in the Palace for the Parliament in Bucharest. It was a great place to be, the second largest government building after the Pentagon. And people were saying that you could see the building from the moon, but it's really quite amazing. It's huge and impressive. Oh, and then there were some political issues there specifically at the time, so it was rather delicate, and we were there competing at the time. So the competition this year was a capture of a jeopardy and exploiting and so on. And there were new categories like machine learning, probability, mathematics, and radio hacking. This is an important part of the competition. Last year we had an escape room, and this is kind of different to everything else, and it changes every year. There's flexibility for the organizing country, and it's really very interesting. We had dynamic scoring this year, the number of results depending on the participation of each team, and also the presentation had to go in front of the jury and talk to the jury and talk about one of the challenges that they had resolved during the competition. There were 35 challenges over 2 days, some for the first day and some for the second. So this stops them competing overnight and have some time off, the team members. And I wanted to show you a summary using a video, and I think this will show you exactly what happened there in Bucharest. So this is a summary video of this year and how the screen's gone. I'd like to say hello to Juan, a friend of mine who was on the steering committee in Bucharest. He was in the video. So anything else I need to tell you about? This image says a lot. They often say that an image is better than words. And this image is a summary of what happened in the competition. And we ended up in 13th position. At the back, there's Manuel Blanco and Roberto, one of the coaches, and Diego, my colleague, and I'm there on the left. This was midway through the competition, and we were out of the possibility of winning. But you also learn from all of this, and that's what we have to take away from this. I'm sure that in INCIBE we did things wrong. The model that we have currently needs to evolve so that Spain can get back up there at the top in the position that it deserves. And I'd like to reflect on this a little bit and talk about how the competition has evolved over the last few years. There has been a change in the quality of it significantly. There are lots of countries supporting their teams, training them. The people from Poland last year were 6th, and now they were 4th this year. And other countries are giving their teams special training and coaching. Hackeronic from Italy had not done many CTFs, but they did qualify for the competition, and they were 7th. They had a lot of people supporting them. So the commitment of each team and each country is increasing every year. There are increasingly more resources, and each country tries to take their best people, because this competition, which began as a bit of fun, should we say, and to promote talent, has become a little bit more professional now, and countries are taking things very seriously. So very often, and this year in particular, I heard something that this is like Eurovision, Spain is not what it used to be. In fact, behind the competition, there is a lot of dedication, a lot of effort. People take this very seriously, and we don't like losing. We are also competitive in this field. We've learned a lot from this. We're going to try and improve and take Spain back up to the place where they belong.
And this maybe we could talk about in the question round, but I'm just going to make it short now because I'm going over my time. But how do you get into the Spanish national team? You have to be under 25. You have to have taken part in national competitions, being Cyber Olympics, be it CyberCamp or Hackathon. Also, the ECSC has some requirements. We need to have 5 juniors and 5 senior members. So for this pre-selection, we have to have this into account as well. Juniors is 18 to 20 and seniors is 20 to 25. There's a pre-selection stage, and we got a few candidates for the final team from there. And this year, we would like to have more people pre-selected so that everyone has an opportunity. We have a technical assessment for every candidate, and once we have a profile for every candidate, then we choose the final team. They come to INCIBE and they train for 2 weeks. So what benefits can you get out of this? It's a unique opportunity. You can share experiences with over 200 young talents from over 20 countries, European countries. You will also have a chance to compete for Spain, to be part of the national team, and you will be able to train at INCIBE with us as well. There will be many opportunities to have interviews, to travel abroad. You can even compete in other challenges, such as the American one, the intercontinental competition that we want to organize. I think that's it. And I'm going to now give the floor to the real protagonists of today. Thank you. Thank you, Diego. I thought no one could talk more than me at ENCIBE, but he talks more than me and faster. So to my right, we have two members of the Spanish national team. We have 15 people in that team, and we have here Adrián del Prado. He is a senior player. He took part in 2017, so he has been a winner of the European. 2018, 2019, he's taken part as well. And then we have Alejandro Taibo, who is new to the team. And I would like to ask you a few questions that you were not expecting. Diego prepared them, so if he hasn't told you about it, then it's his fault. I would like you to be an inspiration to all those who would like to get into this field of cybersecurity. Alejandro, tell us, when did you start getting interested about this? Well, since I was very young, I was always interested in maths, in computer science, etc. And it's true that I've always liked gaming. I was a proper gamer. I was always in denial service attacks and things like that I really liked doing. And or that I really liked seeing, and I was always curious about how these things happened, why they happened. And then I started hearing about Wi-Fi attacks, web. So you start seeing a bit of everything, really, because you don't know how things work. And you eventually find yourself doing something that really draws your attention, and that is the category I am in right now. And you start doing challenges, taking part in challenges. You learn little by little, because obviously you are not born knowing everything, and you learn something new in every competition, and that's how it works. Adrian, you are also a professional, so when did your hobby become a profession? How did you manage? I think in great part thanks to this, because this experience is not only important and it's not only satisfying on a personal level, but it gives you high visibility as well. It gives you also a contact network. You start getting into the world of cybersecurity, which, as we were saying, is not very big. And so it gives you a chance to get people to know you and to show your worth. So I think, in a way, my current situation is thanks to this. And I am currently working in Blue Live, and I am in the Red Team department there. So what would you recommend to a young person who wants to specialize in cybersecurity and doesn't know how to go about it? Well, first of all, I would recommend, obviously, that they studied, that they underwent training, they found a technical area they're interested in, and that they devote a lot of time to that area, because that is, at the end of the day, where you will make a difference, where you can start making a difference and getting visibility. Because even if you cannot do classroom courses, you can do it online, because when you don't know how to do something but you devote time to it until you manage to do it, I think that is very important. You have that kind of mindset. Yeah, I think what he is saying, at the end of the day, these competitions do serve the purpose of helping you to get acquainted with this kind of learning. If you're someone who's competitive, who likes to win challenges, then this really helps. And in my case, it's easier to learn like this, because you see a challenge, you want to make it, you don't know how to do it, you find documentation, you either work it out or you have to wait for solutions to be published, and that's where you really, really learn. And obviously afterwards you have to learn, you have to do more formal training to learn new techniques, find documentation, but it really does help you learn, because it makes it easier and it makes it more fun, and also to find what you like best. Because, yeah, you're studying engineering? Yeah, I am doing engineering right now at university. Also, he's mentioned Naranjero before, and that is a nickname. Which do you think are the main technical skills? We've talked about soft skills, we've talked about teamwork, team building, public speaking, speaking English, but how about technical skills? What is the key to have good performance for 2 days in the competition? Because we have to bear in mind that when the competition lasted 1 day, we were doing better, but with 2 days it is becoming more difficult for us. Well, when it comes to technical skills, it really depends on which category you are focusing on, because it is impossible to do everything. I'm not even talking about cybersecurity, I'm talking about CTF only. I think soft skills is really, really important, especially stress management, and also how you work with the rest of the team, what kind of relationship you establish, what communication policies you establish, what mechanism you have to say, listen, I really cannot do this, so I'm going to move on to the next thing. That, I think, is what really determines your outcome in longer competitions. Yeah, I also think in order to be able to do 16 hours in 2 days of competition, 8 hours a day, that you spend almost completely in front of a screen, I think, as I was saying, other than technical skills, which we understand that everyone has quite advanced technical skills if they are on the team, I think it also has a big role to play the way someone is, their character, because when people are focused or doing something, it is really difficult, or people don't like for their attention to be drawn to something else. And I think it's a bit what Adrian is saying, it's how you work with the team, whether you are patient, whether you are persistent, because if you are someone who gets frustrated the moment something doesn't work out, then you will end up not really getting any challenge, because it's something that you will never be able to solve the first time you attempt it. You have to try and try. So I think the people who do better in these sort of challenges are those who like challenges, who are patient and never stop trying until they make it, or even have the ability of saying, okay, I'm going to put this to a side and I'm going to try and do another one, and once I've done that one, I'll get back to this one. But yeah, it's something about soft skills, as you were saying. Now, Diego mentioned that the other teams are improving, that the level is getting higher. How do you think INCIBE can help you? Because we are the ones who are going to select the future teams. How can we help you improve? How have the other teams improved and we have not? I would imagine that training is very important, how we organize training, and for training to be more constant rather than for it to be all condensed in 2 weeks. I think we should have continuous challenges, not only because we would practice more, but also because we would practice more as a team, because at the end of the day, this is a team challenge. Everyone is focused on their own computer, but you are playing as a team. And I think that is key, and that is something that should be worked on a bit more. Yeah, I agree with Adrian. But of course, because it's not just 2 weeks or 2 days, it is something that has to be continuous. Whenever there's a CTF, we should take part as a team. If next week there's another one, then we should again take part as a team. If there's no continuity, then in 2 weeks it's really, really difficult to get proper training for the challenge unless you have a massive background. So you need constant work. Some people might not have that much practice or have not taken part in that many challenges, so they probably would need to have more challenges to take part in more challenges. If we do a CTF this week, then the next week we have tests, or you have to read these documents, or you have to practice these techniques. I think, continuity would definitely improve everyone's abilities, and I think it would improve our overall results. Diego, have you taken down? Yeah, that is one of the first lessons learned, and we spoke to the Germans, who are very, very straightforward. They invest a lot in pre-selection, but then during the year, we train constantly on their own. They said that most of them didn't even meet until the first day of the competition, but I'm certain that what they say about constant work is definitely necessary. We need to find ways of taking part in CTFs every week, so that the team members get to know each other and start working in an efficient manner. Right, so now Diego was saying how we see it from the inside, but now tell us, why were you 13? Why did you end up 13th in this challenge? Well, I would like to talk about what we've been saying, that there is a change in generations. There were many good teams before, but how do you see that? Well, it is true that the team members are changing. Oh, it is since last year in the competition, by the way. From my point of view, the teams that take part in CTFs in Spain, it's true that the older teams play less, and there are not many new players in. For example, we've seen the case of the Italians with Hackeroni, and their philosophy of who is part of the team is very different. Here, it's just people who are passionate about cybersecurity, and they just on their own decide to form a team. Whereas at Hackeroni, for example, they have a team of teams from universities. So universities create CTF teams that are already very advanced, and then that gives you a mechanism of natural handover from generation to generation, because everyone starts in the university teams, and then they have a really, really good team of teams. And I think that is something that we should really think about and incentivize as a country. Now, about what happened this year in the competition, I think it was mostly to do with the fact that specifically this year there might have been a category where we would have needed to have someone who knew more about, but also training. It really has nothing to do with the competition looked like 3-4 years ago and what it is like now, because it's much more professional. Continuous training is very important. Many other countries are doing it and we're not, and that makes a big difference because they are much better prepared for the challenge than we are. Maybe in the past, when there were less countries and they were not taking it so seriously, maybe the innate talent was enough, but I don't think it's the case nowadays. Well, I can tell that from here, INCIBE is really committed. You will see tomorrow at the individual CTF final, we have had many new things that you will see tomorrow. I'm not going to give them away, but we are really trying to get onto these new tendencies, categories, challenges. Well, you'll see tomorrow. I don't know if the audience has any questions, but before we open the question round, these two people are just a small part of the team, but I would like for the rest of the team to come on the stage because they have been listening and they had to come today, although they're competing tomorrow and they should be training, but they're here today, so please a round of applause for our national team. Shall we stand up? Yeah. Diego, would you like to name the people? introduce them.
So,
from here, Gonzalo, from Cádiz,
José
José from Cádiz as well.
Me sé todos los nombres, pero no la procedencia.
Puedes decirles el nick, que queda como
You can use their nicknames if you want to. López from Córdoba, Adrián from Valladolid, Javi from Toledo, Manuel from Asturias, Álvaro from Alicante,
Alejandro
from Madrid, Yolanda from Córdoba, Manuel and Pablo from Salamanca, and Jordi from Valencia, and Daniel, who is from Asturias but lives in Valencia. Some people have not been able to make it today, some members of the team. These are our year's national team. We have many people behind them. Last year we had 10 people. And I would like to say that these future professionals, when they leave the national team, they become mentors, or we take them to different competitions. So, Adrian, you're not going away from us, so don't try to run away. Any questions now? Make the most of it, because they are the future protectors of our cyberspace. No questions? Can I have a microphone so I can just ask a question to a member of the national team? Thank you. Thank you. Yolanda, come here. She is the first girl in the national team. We've had others in the pre-selection stage, but she is the only girl that has been classified this year, and I just wanted her to say hello. I'm not going to ask anything, and she has to compete tomorrow, so just tell us your experience. Well, my name is Yolanda. My experience has been absolutely wonderful, and I encourage women to do this because this is a unique experience, and I think we have exactly the same abilities as men to do this, and I would do this again, anytime. Thank you. He is also quite shy, so let's see what he says. I think this is really a very good opportunity because you get to know people who share your passions, and it's a way of finding emerging talent in Europe. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in cybersecurity to enroll, to show their potential and their talent, and become part of the national team. Thank you very much. And you've got the floor. Say where you come from, where you're going, and what you're going to do tomorrow. Well, I come from Cádiz, and as my team members were saying, I would encourage anyone to take part in the CTF, and we need professionals in cybersecurity. What have you been doing today with Cyber Olympics? I've been accompanying the team that have won the Cyber Olympics. He's been one of the mentors of the team. So as you see, we keep promoting talent from INCIBE. Anyone else who would like to say something? We're being kicked out, and we've run out of time. Thank you very much to the team. Congratulations. Congratulations, Tatiana.
So whilst they're having their photo taken, we're going to continue with the program, the schedule for today. We've got one last talk to end the day today, day 3. We're going to tell you all about it in just a few moments. Please don't go away.